Greetings internet and happy Sunday. As I said on Wednesday, this video is kind of different to anything I've done, or it's not something I've really spoken about before. But because I'm kind of switching this channel up a little bit, when I was going through video planning, I kind of wanted to involve my love of the theatre a little bit more. I kind of wanted to establish my love of the theatre. I hope that's kind of interesting for you guys. I'm going to talk about specifically musicals, because musicals, if I have like my list of like 4 or 5 dream roles that I would want to play on like the West End or Broadway or whatever. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about, you know, musical theatre is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to kind of establish my love for it, because I feel like even with my Disney vlog, I kind of didn't establish the fact that I love Disney so much that that whole video was a genuine reaction to how I was feeling. So the first kind of like musicals I was like introduced to, I guess, the first musical that I saw in the West End was The Lion King. The Lion King. It's the first one I saw was The Lion King, and I went with my mum and I went with my grandma, and I was completely blown away by it. I think I was like 7 or 8, I want to say. I think I was about 7 or 8, but everything about it is just incredible. I don't really want to give too much away, but I feel like a lot of people have either seen The Lion King or seen what it's kind of like on stage, or heard that it's great on stage. Because I didn't know, we were sat in the stalls, and I didn't know that obviously the all of the animal puppets like come in from the back, walk through the audience, and then go onto the stage. I didn't know that. So for me, a 7 or 8-year-old massive Disney fan, seeing the Lion King animals walking through the centre aisle, I loved it. I loved it so much. The second musical I went and saw was The Sound of Music. I think The Sound of Music was like one of the first movie musicals I sat down and actually watched. It's a long one, it's like over 3 hours, but I love it. Maria is one of my like dream roles. Absolute dream role. Yeah. I love the part of Maria, plus I love Julie Andrews. I absolutely adore Julie Andrews. I think she's an incredible human being and a beautiful human being. And the third musical that I distinctly remember being one of the first ones that I ever watched it's quite an old musical. It's got Doris Day in it, and it's called Calamity Jane, and it's about this female cowgirl in this little town called Deadwood that's kind of near Chicago. Like, kind of near Chicago. And it's based at like the turn of the century, I think. So it's all sort of cowboys and Indians. But Doris Day, Calamity Jane, she goes to Chicago to like find this actress to come perform for everyone at Deadwood. But she brings back a girl who's posing as the actress that she actually went to go and find, but then ends up being like a really good singer, and she like takes over and everyone in the town loves her. But then Calamity is like jealous because there's a whole sort of love triangle square thing going on, and then it's great. It's so good. It's really, really good. I can't remember. Howard Keel is the main male role in that film, and I love it so much. I love it so much. And some of the songs like so catchy. Even my brother, who is not like a musical theatre person at all, will sing like the main title song. It's like the Deadwood, I think it's called the Deadwood Stage. It's like the Deadwood Stage is coming on over the plains. That song. Oh, I love it. I just love the entire musical. I know that I'm saying this like a lot, but just love it. Just love it. Just love it. Musicals are great. I love musicals. You can probably tell. So when I was younger, I used to go to like a little theatre group on a Friday night, and my first role, my first ever like bigger role, was Sandy the dog from Annie. I'm gonna go and get photographic proof that I played Sandy in Annie. So I hope you all are ready for this. This was me as Sandy the dog in Annie. That was a handmade costume. All of this, all of the like fur was wool that my mum hand sewed onto that like beige leotard. And then I had a school shirt on underneath it. Like, can we just? And the mask even like made noises. If you clicked a button at the back, it would like woof and everything. Kind of being like a part of performing and stuff has always been quite a big part of my life, I guess, is kind of the right way to go about it. So yeah, I played Sandy in Annie, the musical. At Christmas of 2012, I think it was 2012, when the live action Les Miserables came out. This is kind of an unpopular opinion. I absolutely love that film. Absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I really, really love it. And I know that's kind of an unpopular opinion, but I love it. And that was the first time I'd actually seen it, which I think kind of not put into perspective, but that was kind of like my first impression of the whole musical, so I think that's kind of why I still love it. And then, yeah, I got tickets to go and see that for like Christmas or my birthday or something, and we saw it on stage. I saw it with my mum, and it was absolutely incredible. And from that point onwards, that was during... I'm kind of a typical theatre person, and actually no, a typical theatre teenager, as in I adore Carrie Hope Fletcher. Yeah, I do. I really do. And I saw her during her the first time I saw Les Mis on the stage in the West End, that was during her first year of being Eponine. So, and I, like, that kind of, I didn't know who she was when I saw it, but then the second time I saw it, I was like, I know exactly who you are. I've, like, watched videos, she was kind of one of the people that inspired me to start YouTube. I think when I was about 12, my mum took me to see The Phantom of the Opera. And at first, I absolutely loved the musical. I loved it, but I didn't really understand 100% what was going on. But then I bought the 25th anniversary staged production of it on DVD with Sierra Burgess as Christine, Ramin Karimloo as the Phantom, and Hadley Fraser as Raoul. And watching that like 2 million times. I've watched that way too many times. Even like by the second time I'd watched it all the way through, I completely understood the story, which is kind of why I want to go back and watch it again in the theatre, so that, because now I fully appreciate the story and I can go in fully understanding it. I think if I was ever to take someone to go and see that show that had never seen it before, I'd make them sit through the DVD first so that I could sit and explain everything. Then they could sit in the theatre and enjoy the show, completely understanding what was going on. Kind of moving on from that, when I was like 15, I want to say, when I was 15, we went, and my mum and I went and saw Miss Saigon, which, again, all these 3 musicals I've kind of put together because they're all Cameron Mackintosh and called Michael Schoenberg. I want to say that's his name. But those two, Cameron Mackintosh is like a big West End producer and producer in general. And Claude, I want to say Claude Michael Schoenberg, but it's not Schoenberg because Schoenberg is like someone, like another composer, I think. Yeah. But there's like two musical directors that like composed and wrote Miss Saigon, Phantom, and Les Mis, and I've kind of grouped those 3 together to speak about them together because they're such great musicals. Yeah, Miss Saigon, I saw it when I was about 15, and when it sort of revived in the West End, and it was incredible. It was so incredible. It was very unexpected as well. Like, I had no idea what to expect. I just knew that obviously it was a musical, and that my mum had booked tickets for us to go and see it. Yeah, I'm trying to... I don't want to like tell the story because it's kind of long-winded, but it's based in the Vietnam War, and it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. Nothing I'd ever seen before, and it was absolutely incredible. I don't really have much else to say about it. I've got the 25th anniversary show on DVD, and it's like 3 hours long. I can sit through it with a massive tub of ice cream. If I had a tub of ice cream with a spoon and Miss Saigon for an evening, I would be happy. I would be happy. And one of the characters from that, Ellen, I absolutely love her solo song, Maybe. Maybe I just love the song, and the way that the actress does it on the film, on the filmed production, is just, it's so outstanding. And I know because obviously it's like the 25th anniversary, I don't know if they were like overperforming or like just giving it everything because it was such a special performance, but yeah, her performance of Maybe on that is absolutely incredible. And always at the end of like these 25th or the big anniversary concerts or like productions or whatever, they sometimes have like some of the older cast come back, and from that point onwards I found out when Lea Salonga, I found out that she played the main character of Miss Saigon, Kim, when it was first sort of brought out in the 80s. I want to say it was the 80s. I'm pretty sure it was the 80s, late 80s. When that was sort of first brought out. And from then on, I became obsessed with like, that was when I downloaded IMDb on my phone, and I sort of became obsessed with like finding different actors that have been in different things that I've seen before, because literally nothing brings me more joy than finding out that someone that I'm watching on screen has like been in something else that I absolutely love, or like an actress or an actor that I see on stage is someone that I've seen in something else before. And because Lea Salonga was the singing voice of Mulan, I want to say, in the singing voice of Princess Jasmine, I like instantly became obsessed. I haven't spoken about Fiddler on the Roof. Again, it's another classical musical that I love, and Hoddle, one of the daughters in Fiddler on the Roof, is one of my dream roles. And when I went and saw it on the West End, the actress playing Golda, who's like the mother in it, is the voice actress for Pocahontas. So when I found out I was going to be like this close to a Disney princess, I freaked out, and it was amazing. I loved Fiddler on the Roof, and I loved the film. Again, it's like another long 3-hour marathon of a film, but it's so good. Now, I first saw Wicked when I was about 9 or 10. 8 or 9. I'd say I was about 8 or 9 when I first saw Wicked. And I can't really describe how much I relate to it now. I didn't really relate to it much when I was younger. I just really enjoyed the fact that it was kind of a continuation on from The Wizard of Oz and kind of a whole backstory, and I love that. I love when producers make films or musicals or shows or something that connect to other shows, like not necessarily a sequel. And Wicked isn't even really a prequel, really, of The Wizard of Oz. I just think I just love when films and stuff, when it's done properly and they properly connect, I love it. Absolutely love it. I can't remember what I went and saw. Like Mary Poppins Returns, when I saw that, I was a little bit dubious about it, because when we saw Mamma Mia 2, this is kind of an unpopular opinion, I didn't really like Mamma Mia 2, the film, because there were so many plot holes and stuff that didn't link properly. And that made me very dubious of going and seeing Mary Poppins Returns, and because I was sort of worried that it was going to be the same sort of thing, like it wouldn't connect properly. But seeing that and the little touches that just connected to the original film, I loved. And therefore, I don't know where I was going with this. Therefore, when I saw Wicked again, when I was a little bit older, so I saw it last year with my friend Harriet, I related to it so much more. and sort of picked out the bits that linked to The Wizard of Oz and things, because I was a little bit too young. I wasn't too young to see it, but I was too young to understand what was going on properly, so that's why I love it even more now. Plus Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth. I love them. I love them. I love them. Elphaba is like one of my dream roles, along with Eponine and... oh, I'll go on to talk about that in a minute. So another musical that my mum introduced me to was Chicago, and that was the film version. She showed me that first when I want to say I was 12 years old when she showed me that. And, oh, Chicago is so good. It was so completely different to anything else that I'd really seen before, because it's not like any musical I'd seen before. And the musicals I've seen before are kind of like very wholesome. Things like The Sound of Music and Calamity Jane and Singing in the Rain, which is like another one of my massive favourite shows. They're all sort of very wholesome. And to see Chicago, it's very sort of sexy and sultry. And seeing that sort of like was like, whoa, this is completely different to anything I've seen before. But like the Cell Block Tango, and one of my favourite songs from that is I Can't Do It Alone, the one that Velma sings to Roxy to try and get them to become a double act. So good. And then Christmas 2 years ago? Is it 2 years ago or 1 year ago? So Christmas 2 years ago, so Christmas 2017, I think they'd only just announced that Chicago was coming back to the West End for like a limited run. I didn't know this, and my mum has always said if it ever comes back to London we will go and see it, because it's now one of our like 2 favourite musicals. We'll sit down and we can watch that and absolutely love it. Doesn't matter the amount of times we watch it, we'll always sit down and absolutely love it. So I didn't know it was coming back to the UK, and when on Christmas Day I opened my little envelope and it told me we were going to go and see Chicago, I looked at my mum, I screamed, and then I cried, because I'd loved it for so long, and it had been 5 years, kind of. I think it's about 5 years. So 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 4 years, 4 or 5 years since I'd first seen it. To then find out it was coming back to the UK, and I was going to go and see it with my mum. Oh, it was such a great feeling, because I just love it so, so much. I think Velma is like one of my dream roles. It's kind of an unrealistic dream role because I'm not a sexy, sultry person. I think I'm quite a wholesome person. If one of my dream roles is Maria, I think from The Sound of Music, I think the contrast there kind of proves what I'm talking about. And then, like I said, Carrie Hope Fletcher kind of fueled the start of my love of Heathers when she first did that. Well, when she did that last year. Watching her vlogs and everything about it, and then listening to the soundtrack. Veronica Sawyer is like one of my other dream roles. I think that's the rest of my dream roles that I've gone through. Yeah, I think so. I love Heathers. I love it so much. It's just, it's relatable, but in a very dramatic way. It's kind of Glee and Chicago mixed into one film, one musical. Just kind of a side note, they brought the full seasons of Glee onto Netflix, and I couldn't be happier. Couldn't be happier. Absolutely love Glee. Then, when I was 13 probably, I used to do sort of a stage school thing every Friday night, and we used to like put on shows quite a lot and stuff. But whenever I did those shows, I was always like the mum or the teacher. That's the kind of role I'm always kind of cast in, and I think I got a similar role again, and I just didn't really want to do it anymore, because it was always like the little, not to be stereotypical or like rude or mean in any way, but it was always sort of like the little skinny girls that could sing whatever. They were always the ones that got the big roles. But then every time we had a rehearsal, I was the one that was sort of behaving and making sure that I knew what I was doing. And and I was always told, like, oh, Freya, you're the example, you're really good at, like, obviously learning lines and being respectful to the teachers that are trying to teach you and, like, the directors and everything. But as much as they said that, I was never sort of credited with a bigger role. That I did want a bigger role because I love performing, and when I sing a solo song, it's not the fact that I sing a solo song, it's the kind of the reaction afterwards, because I've never been 100% sure that my voice is actually that good, but when I sort of get a reaction, I kind of feel it in me that I do have the power to sing big songs and stuff, which kind of fueled my ambition to want to be like a big leading lady, or play big leading roles. So I quit that drama club thing and moved on to a company that did youth theatre, but they only did 2 shows a year, and they held open auditions. Then you just sort of paid the show fee, and you did 10 weeks of rehearsals. Then if you were a main part, you did 4 shows. If you were just in the ensemble, there'd be like 2 groups of ensemble, and they did 2 shows and the other group would do another 2. And my first show was Bugsy Malone when I did that, and I was part of the ensemble because I was still quite young at that point. But I was part of Dandy Dan's gang. I was one of the kids right at the beginning that would be like, are you a Fat Sam's crew? Or like whatever the kid's name was. Like at the very start of the film, I was part of the gang that would shoot the little kid with the splurge guns, and we had splurge guns that had silly string cans, and it was great. I remember loving that role a lot. Then I did Oliver with them, with the company, and again I was in the ensemble, I was in like the workhouse and stuff, but like doing Food Glorious Food and all of that was just great. And then I think I'd left it sort of a year and a bit before I did the next show, which was Grease, and that was so much fun. Again, I was only ensemble because I was like 15, I think, but it was so much fun. It was so much fun, and the dances, because I was in my head, obviously I could learn choreography a lot better than I could 3 or 4 years earlier. It was always really fun because I was sort of either put at the front or put sort of close to the side at the front or whatever, because I could learn dances quite well, and I just sort of picked up choreography, and everything about it I loved. Then last year, so this was almost 3 years after I'd done Grease, I auditioned for Oliver again, and last year I played Widow Corney in Oliver, and I made incredible friends, and I had the most amazing time doing that show. Everything about it, all the people, everyone that I performed with, I adored it. I absolutely adored every second of it. And I just went and saw the same group of people do Footloose last night. I'm filming this on Friday. On Friday. I saw them Thursday night, so I saw them last night. And I thought I wouldn't be able to do any of their shows again because of university, and because I can't really afford to be back every Friday night to do rehearsals, then be back for a show week. But I've kind of found out that I'd be able to do the summer shows that they do, because it's only like 2 weeks of rehearsals that I'd miss. So 8 weeks of rehearsal to pick up everything would be enough. So depending on what show it is next year, I will be doing whatever show it is, and I'm very excited about that. That's kind of it for this week's video. I've kind of tired out talking about musicals. But I hope you guys kind of understand where I'm coming from when I talk about musicals, and if I talk about theatre in such a way. So I'll see you on Wednesday. Have a lovely rest of your week and the rest of your evening, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye everyone!